introduce a very special guest on the show today. But before I get there, a short introduction. Now, Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliant India is our goal, but that is not possible if 50% of our population, our women, are not self-reliant or financially independent. Many years before Atmanirbhar Bharat became a buzzword, there was one woman who set off on a very unusual career path, and she became a pioneer in the Indian beauty industry. And I'm talking about none other than Blossom Kochhar, who's here with us on the show today. Thank you so much, ma'am, for speaking to us.
It's such a pleasure to be here, Dipanji.
Thank you.
It's really
and Blossom Kochhar, she's also a director at the Women Innovator Board. So before I speak to you about more personal things, ma'am, I would like to know about your experience with Women Innovator and what takeaways you got from there, and whether you see yourself in the numerous women who are budding entrepreneurs.
Now, Women Innovator, of course, it's been around for 7 years. And I've been, and the last time, of course, now it is 1,000 faces. And before that, it was 100 faces. And I've been working with them very closely. And what I love about them, really, firstly, I would like to say a big thank you to Tripti and to congratulate her for really putting this forward and, getting this whole thing going, because it is very, very important for women. The other thing I'd like to say is why I went into Women Innovator and why I liked it. It was helping people, and women especially to, help them to grow, help them to be their own entrepreneurs, and not just in big towns. It was in the small areas. It was going into villages, it was going into small towns, it was going in all over there, helping them to get loans, helping them to, put their products out, helping them in their distribution of their products. Because what I found when I went in and used to speak to them and listen to them, that, they knew how to make a super product, but how would they do the distribution? How would they get it across? So that is where Women Innovator came in to help. And I really think it was a wonderful idea where we went and spread it all over and all over the place. It was really great. And of course, another thing that I find, and since I'm in the beauty and wellness profession, I found that this is one of the things that could be done all over, and they could really become entrepreneurs right through. And we found, they had products made from organic and natural products, which was really wonderful. They also went into the service industry. It was something fantastic. So it was, an eye-opener to me that there are so many women who want to do good and can do such fantastic work, but it needed to get out into the world. They needed to make money out of it. They needed to know. And that's where Women Innovator came in with the education, with helping them in their distribution and helping them right through. I love this thing because it is helping empower women. And that is, I think, what we need. If we empower women, it's really can empower the nation.
Great to hear that, ma'am. Also, now going back to your journey for a bit, Blossom Kochhar is a household name in India. There's not a person who doesn't know who she is, especially in the 90s. For many of us growing up then, the name always, it immediately catches and we know who she is. So before you were the brand Blossom Kochhar, can you take us back to your journey and tell us how it started, how you grew your business?
Now, how I grew my business, of course, I started a long time ago. I love people. I love, doing things on people. And it started with a service, making them look beautiful. But when I started this little salon, and that is how I feel that anyone can do. We started it in a little room in Wellington because my husband was in the army. And we started this little salon, and over there I did the whole started hair and beauty and the whole thing. And what I found was that we did need a product, because at that time there was really no product except Charmis and Pond's cream, and I definitely couldn't do that and give facials with that. So I used to make a product individually for each person, and I used to, put a perfume. Now the perfume that I used was something that was not synthetic, So I used to use the pure essential oils. And when I used to use them, I found that it was not only helping their skin and to look better, but also what had happened is they would say my headache is better or I became better. So that is how I went in to study aromatherapy and the Ayurvedic aromatherapy, where we found that it could help people not only to beautify themselves, but also help them in their skin, in their hair, and also help any stress-related problems that they had. And it could also, help their mind. It helps them to relax. It helps them to be, if they're too hyper, they can really calm down. It helps anxiety, helps the grief. And so that is how I went in with this. And of course, from there, from Wellington, my husband was posted to Delhi. And again, we had to start, and starting this thing was, we had to start it in a very small way. So we started it in a small way. And at that time, people didn't know of aromatherapy. They only knew of herbal products. And then we went in, we started it with, once I made it, started it, once we had to make it, we had to market it. I had to market it myself. So we had marketed it through the salons, and I had done with the product and with education and salons. And really, I did a lot with education and salons. And as I was working, I came across and skilling people. I came across that they needed to be skilled, and also how to become entrepreneurs. Because when we skill a group, like I never forget, where we skilled a group of widows and their children, but they were not allowed to come out of their house and go anywhere to work. So we had to teach them how to be their own entrepreneurs. So that is how I got into this whole thing with education and skilling and aromatherapy. And it's been really a wonderful journey. Like I always say, there's ups and downs in a journey, but you've got to have a passion, and that is going to carry you through.
Thank you for those words, ma'am. I like how you said you have to be your own entrepreneur. So, of course, it's been decades that you've been in the industry and things have changed a lot. But I think what's a basic toolkit for an entrepreneur? And what are the basic things they should know before launching a business?
Before they launch a business, one thing I really love to tell them is, do they have this aptitude for this business? Are they ready? They've got to have a passion firstly. They should have a passion. They should want to do something good for society. This is something fantastic. What is missing? And then they have to look for what is missing. There's no point in going into what is the run of the mill, because it's just going to be the run of the mill, okay? They have to find out what is missing, how they can help society. They have to, of course, that passion comes first. And then they have to have an education. They have to be technically qualified. Like I always say, find out where you can get, because you have to start right from the grassroots level and go up. Now, if you're even making your business, you have to know how it starts and how it goes up. So if anything goes wrong, you can go in there. Then you have to know how to market your good, how to distribute your goods. You have to also know finance, which is very important, because otherwise it's just not going to work. So it is a complete rounded, and it's a complete education, and it doesn't stop. It just doesn't stop when you start. You have to go on, because everything changes. And in this industry, of course, everything changes so fast, beauty and hair and the other things. But in every industry, there has to be that, you have to keep learning and you have to keep going. And the main thing I feel is you've got to take your family along with you to help you, because you definitely need it. And you have to be happy doing what you're doing. So if you have this passion, if you're happy doing what you're doing, if you're taking your family along, if you do all these other things correct, I don't think, and it's because, like I said, there are a lot of hurdles on the way. And these hurdles, if you do not have the proper any of these, you could just give up. So don't, and I always tell everyone, don't give up, because maybe just around the corner you're going to have your success. And so never give up. If you have this passion, just go ahead.
So, ma'am, talking of change in beauty, the standards, there's also a change in the way beauty is being, it's being showcased to the world. Now we have beauty influencers. I just want to know your opinion on this. Do you think beauty influencers, the ones we see on social media, they add to the beauty industry, or do they take away from it? Should we be a bit cautious while following them?
No, I don't say that. I feel when every beauty influencer comes in, they should also have a conscience. That is very important, because whatever they're saying, they have a group of people who follow them. It is just like when we are making a cosmetic, we have to have a conscience that they are giving you the correct cosmetic, and so they have to tell you if it is good or not. So they have to have a conscience, they have to know what they're doing, and they have to know the product. That is one thing. I always feel when you're a beauty influencer, you have to get that product, use it with it, and then you can talk about it. For anything, like even when we make a, before we put it out for marketing, it has to go to everyone. Like I say, let them use it, then they are going to give me back the feedback how it is, and then we could go ahead. So in a way, in fact, this is the latest thing that we have these beauty advisors, and they're really good. And they should, only one thing I want to tell them is they have to have a conscience.
All right, ma'am. And also, if we talk about the pandemic, so many women who started beauty businesses, salons, or even services at home, their business, their customers sort of dried up. So,
Yeah.
what word of advice would you have for them?
Yes. Now that was something that really, and I mean, it was very sad the way it hit the beauty industry. The pandemic really hit them, because there were so many out of work, and there were so many salons closed, and it was really sad. But what I say is that this is something firstly, they had to go into their sanitization and hygiene, absolute, and give the confidence to the client, because there's no point in you doing it and the client doesn't know. You have to give a client confidence. The next is those who know their client, who keep that, because there is that rapport, there is that, personal contact. And if those who had it would not lose their clients, really, they would always come back and trust them. And your clients, your people, they had to trust you. And so they're the ones that, came back, and see that you follow, everything, and you have got to see that, again, we have to have a conscience. The beautician has to have a conscience and look after the client and pamper the client. And if anything was wrong, tell the client that there was something wrong. And so it was hygiene. So we went into hygiene, and I know we educated so many of them, thousands and thousands, on hygiene, and for themselves and for the client. And we also taught them people skills and personal relationship, because that was something that had to be there. And I know the salons who had this personal relationship and had this thing, they really kept them going. Like, they were out, they couldn't get product very often. So these beauticians used to go and deliver it to them. They just had to ring up and it would go to them in any way they wanted, but it would get to them. So that was the kind. So when it opened, they came back to these people. They would go, they would send their people to the houses. They would see that they were comfortable, that they could do things. So that is how, or they could do DIY things at home. So that really helped. Like I remember a lot of people said, what are you teaching them how to do it at home? I said, don't worry, they will come back to the salon because they want that pampering and that touch. But while they're at home, they have to look beautiful and they have to go on like that.
And ma'am, any last word on beauty trends that you see these days? It's a light question, something you like, something you dislike. And what are your thoughts on the beauty industry being expanded to men also now? There are so many men coming forward for various treatments. Your
Yeah,
thoughts?
no, I think it's fantastic. It's really great that the men are coming in, and the men are going to bring the economy really up.
Yeah.
And of course, the women are also there, but men are, I always say, men are very loyal customers. And if they go to someone, they're going to go out and, do everything. And I'm so happy men are getting into this, in the cosmetics, in the services, in everything. So it is really good. The next thing is that the industry is, we have to see that the skin is good. The mainly is the skin. Then this maskne is, they've got maskne coming also. We have to look for that. We have to see that the eye makeup is something that is there, and we can't wear so much of makeup. So what I find is that the skin has to be good, and you can't mess so much of makeup, because then it all goes on the mask and it is all a mess. So that is there. Hair is the trend is hair. Hair is something that is really going to do well. And even when the salons opened just after the pandemic, hair is what went through. Hair is really going to be, and wellness. Wellness is something that has to be there, because if you're not well in a holistic way, body, mind, and spirit and soul. I find that it can't show through. So wellness, exercise, yoga, nutrition, these are the things we are going to, organic food, these are what we're going in for. And of course, then those little touches. And another thing I found, many ladies are going in for gray hair, because those, especially the older ones, they don't want to go back since they've been in this pandemic. They look so good with their gray, whitish hair. So they are going to keep that on. So that is there. And it is going to be quite a lot the same, but with a difference. And in the salons, it's going to be more pampering, more like social distancing, and it's going to be much better.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I also learned a lot. So thank you so much for being here today.
It's such a pleasure, Dibali. It's wonderful. And what the most wonderful name. Wonderful.
Subscribe to Oneindia channel